me with a feeling of such relaxation that I felt I could freely converse with you on any subject without the least hesitation. That morning, I had taken a long walk and watched the glory of the rising sun, the endless rays of light stretching across the horizon. I have often felt as though the sky overhead were calling out to me, find out what I really am. I found you in a delightful mood, so I thought it was the right time to open up the sky high subject, not as a problem needing a solution, but as a point of inquiry. I said, what is space? I have often asked this question of myself with no satisfying answer. You looked amused and instead of giving me a reply, posed a counter question. What is time? Do you pass time or do you pass in and through time? I don't know. I cannot even guess, although I am in it all the time, not knowing what it is, I replied. Then, how will you understand what space is, even though you are surrounded by it all the time? Space and time are like twins. So, aren't these questions bigger than life? I admit that, but do you want me to suppress such inquiries? Whenever I move, I am under the sky and moving through time. Am I not? Yes, you are. Then, do you expect me to stop trying to find out what they are? If you were to provide me with some clue, it might make me aware of the scope of my inability to understand. Okay, if you are going to take this as a game, keep an open mind and remember that space is a boundless cage for the entire creation. Your statements threw me off and helped me to realize the folly of trying to touch the moon with my hands. So I joked, with the myriad stars, the creation in space reminds me of an infinitely enormous cake. You quip back and you devour this whole cake when you are in deep sleep. And I swallowed time too, I added, and we both laughed. But the irony is that when I get up, this cake becomes like a hard, round rock candy which I can neither break nor swallow. But may I ask you one more question? Why one? Ask me as many as you wish.
All right. This chapter is not a very big chapter, so I might digress a bit, but never mind. Let's see how the going goes. It's a pleasantry, something which is very casual, a very pleasant time pass. You were sitting beside me on my bed. I was immensely thrilled. Obviously, when Baba is sitting with us, there is an immense thrill which passes all over our being. Your presence drenched me with a feeling of such relaxation that I felt I could freely converse with you on any subject without the least hesitation. So Baba comes down to our level. He doesn't have any barriers that you can't speak to him, you can't talk to him. The, when Baba was in his physical ministry, he was very casual with people. He was down to earth, so to speak. Yes, he was very approachable that way. That morning, I had taken a long walk and watched the glory of the rising sun, the endless rays of light stretching across the horizon. I have often felt as though the sky overhead were calling out to me, find out what I really am. In other words, he gets this thought that the sky is telling the author, Balnatuji, find out what I really am. I found you in a delightful mood, so I thought it was the right time to open up the sky high subject, not as a problem needing a solution, but just as a point of inquiry. Now, this again is very important, that whenever Baba is in a delightful mood, whenever the Mandali, especially Dr. Ghani, even Eraj, when they feel that Baba is in a mood to talk, Baba is in a delightful mood, they would always have their questions in their own mind. And the moment they sense that Baba is in a mood to explain, in a mood to talk, then they would ask Baba so many questions. And then because Baba is in mood, obviously Baba would reply, Baba would respond, and that would be jotted down, that would be taken down. And that is why so many aspects of, the secrets of the universe we get to know, because the Mandali were always prepared with the questions to, yeah, spiritual, mostly spiritual. All right. So now the question is, he says that not as a problem, but as an inquiry. Every one of us have an inquiry, has an inquiry mind, inquiring mind, and we want to know this and that. So here the question is, what is space? I have often asked this question of myself, and with no satisfying answer. Now, of course, Baba gives the answer of what is space. But I, what we know from other literature of Baba is, space is that which accommodates the entire creation, the entire cosmos. Space is infinite, and the space goes on increasing ad infinitum. In other words, there is no shortage of space as how we have it on Earth. There's no space. Why is space infinite? Because elsewhere Baba has said that space is the shadow of the infinity of God. And because God is infinite, obviously his shadow also is infinite. That's another point. The third point, during the East-West gathering, which took place on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of November 1962, Baba dictated what is called 21 points. It's a very beautiful, very in-depth, very profound. Maybe one day we may do it. And if I find time today, because as I said, the chapter is quite small, and I don't want to start a new chapter because that's a little longish. So maybe I would just read out those 21 points, which in my understanding, in my opinion, they're very profound, very deep, and it needs elaboration, it needs understanding, discussion, and all that. But we won't take it up that, we'll just read out. So in that 21 points, Baba talks about space. Space is the gulf between imagination and reality. Imagination has started, reality is not yet experienced. So between imagination and reality, whatever is, that is space. And then Baba goes on to say, evolution of consciousness fills this gulf. Try to understand, very profound. Space is the gulf between imagination and reality. And evolution of consciousness happens in what? Happens in space and time, isn't it? So evolution of consciousness fills this gulf. So these were the answers given by Baba elsewhere. Now let us continue reading. So you look, sorry, what is space? I have often asked this question of myself with no satisfying answer. You looked amused, and instead of giving me a reply, posed a counter question. What is time? Do you pass time, or do you pass in and through time? So again, a very profound, because Baba says, in reality, there is no time in terms of lateral time. There is no past, there is no future. There is only one eternal now, that is the present moment, which encompasses and engulfs all of the apparent past and all of the apparent future. In other words, in reality or in truth, there is only one moment, and that is the now, and that is eternal, which means that always was, that is, and ever will remain. So that is the meaning. That is the meaning where elsewhere Baba had said about time. What is time? Now, if now this is a little maybe deep. If the time is constant, only one, then actually time is not passing. It is we who are passing around this eternal point of infinity. That is the present moment. That is the eternal now. That is what we call as Vartaman Kal, right? Not Bhutkal, not Bhavishya Kal, Vartaman Kal. That means time is constant and we are moving around time rather than time moving around us. It's a little deep. We may come to that a little later. Now, in that 21 points, again, Baba has given the definition of time, which is again a superb definition. Baba says time is the interval between your very first imagination and your very last imagination. Super. Time is what? Time is the interval. Time starts when imagination starts. Correct? And time ends when imagination ends. So time is the interval between your very first imagination and your very last imagination. Time is in imagination. Time is in duality. Time is a non-reality. The moment you enter into illusion, time starts. The moment, sorry? Mind. Yeah, the time starts. And the moment you are out of illusion, which means you are realized, time stops. There is no such thing as time. So very beautifully, Baba had explained these two aspects of space and time in those 21 points. Time permitting, because we are in time, I am saying time permitting, we will just rapidly run through that. And maybe after we finish all the four, this is the third book, after we finish the flowing conversations with the Awakener, we might come back to this in a more deep studied manner. All right. So here Baba says, Baba is asking a counter question. What is time? Do you pass time or do you pass in and through time? I don't know. I cannot even guess. Although I am in it, we are all in it. You know, we are in it all the time, not knowing what it is. I reply. The author is saying, although I am in time, I do not know what time is all about. Then how will you understand what space is? If you cannot understand time, how will you understand what space is? Even though you are surrounded by it all the time. We are all surrounded by space all the time because space is a gulf. Space, as we have done earlier, and we are all in space, and space keeps on increasing. Scientists have seen through whatever instruments that creation is continuously expanding. And we have got absolutely no idea, no imagination of how fast creation is expanding and how vast creation is. That's why Baba uses the word ad infinitum, keeps on increasing. We have got no idea, as I said. I remember when I was a student in science, correct me if I'm wrong, that we say that Earth is so big. We know that Earth is so big with so many continents and so many oceans and whatever. 13 lakhs of Earth can be fitted in our sun, what we call our sun, right? In our solar system. And so many millions of suns can be accommodated in one star. Just try to imagine. And there are millions upon millions of stars. We do not have any count of it. And there is so much of space in between the stars. So can we ever imagine what is the immensity of space? You see, so it is absolutely beyond us. So here Baba says, then how will you understand what space is, even though you are surrounded by it all the time? Space and time are like twins. We have done this both just now when we read 21 points. We saw that they are also interrelated. They are so connected.
We referred it, not read it.
Okay, we referred it. Okay. So aren't these questions bigger than life? These questions are bigger than life. You cannot answer it in illusion. It's only when we go beyond illusion, we realize that there was no such thing as space and there is no such thing as time. It was all an illusion. It was all a dream. It was all a make-believe, which was necessary, the construct of the mind, which was necessary for us to awaken to reality. I admit that. But do you want me to suppress such inquiries? Don't you want me to ask such things? Although they may be above my life, although they may be bigger than my life, am I not supposed to make inquiries about it? I admit that. But do you want me to suppress such inquiries? Whenever I move, I am under the sky. Sorry. Whenever I move, I am under the sky and moving through time. Am I not? Now the author is referring sky as the space. But actually sky is not the space. The space is tremendously more larger than just the sky. Am I not? Yes, you are. Then do you expect me to stop trying to find out what they are? You expect that I should not find out what is time, what is space, what is sky? If you were to provide me with some clue, so now very beautiful sentence, to just give me some clue that how ignorant I am, or how incompetent I am, or how incapable I am to find the answer. Give me that clue. That's what the author is asking. If you were to provide me with some clue, it might make me aware of the scope of my inability to understand. If you give me a clue, I will get a scope to understand that I cannot understand. Okay, if you are going to take this as a game, keep an open mind and remember that space is a boundless cage for the entire creation. That's what Baba had said, where creation is accommodated. And creation is not just earth, it is not just our solar system. You just can't have a word for it. Millions and millions of such solar systems. So we have got absolutely no idea. So here Baba says that, I'll repeat this. This is the answer which Baba gave to the author this time. But I have said the other answers also. That if you keep an open mind and remember that space is a boundless cage for the entire creation. That means it's a cage in which the entire creation is bound. But the space itself, the cage itself is boundless, because more and more creation keeps happening. Even as we are talking, even as we are, wink of an eye, more and more creations are opening up, of which we are absolutely unaware.
Space is a divine incubator.
No, that is okay. Have you read this? Yeah. Your statements threw me off and helped me to realize the folly of trying to touch the moon with my hands. Now I realize that it is so stupid of me, so very, whatever, immature of me to trying to touch the moon with my hand, which we cannot. In other words, with my limited mind, I cannot comprehend what time and space is all about. Just now, what Soumya uh, hinted me was, but that's not space, that is creation. Okay, what is creation? She wanted me to say that in our understanding, and Baba had said this elsewhere, that creation is nothing but a divine incubator. We all know what an incubator is. When a baby is born premature, you put the baby in the incubator, give a proper warmth, heat, temperature, and moisture and all that, and the baby grows up and then is brought out of the incubator. So creation is nothing but a divine incubator in which the consciousness of the soul incubates and becomes perfect. Creation has only one purpose, and that is to make us know the answer to the very first question, who am I? And the only real answer is, I am God. So creation is meant to for us to find that out. Creation has only one purpose. There is no other purpose of creation. So that is why Baba calls it elsewhere as a divine incubator in which we incubate and we become paripakwa, so to speak. We become perfect. All right. Your statements threw me off and helped me to realize the folly of my trying to touch the moon with my hands. So I joked with the myriad stars, means multitude, numberless stars. The creation in space reminds me of an infinite, enormous cake. He's just joking about and saying that creation is so big that it is reminding me of an infinite, enormous cake. You quipped back, Baba quipped back, and you devour this whole cake when you are in deep sleep. Now, another thought process that comes to my mind is that we talk about Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. We talk about the creator, the sustainer or preserver, and the destroyer or the dissolver. We talk about creator, sustainer, dissolver. But Baba says actually there is no such truth as objective universe. Try to be with me. Objective universe. The universe is an extension or a projection of your own consciousness. That's what Baba is saying, that you are devouring the cake, which means you are sucking in the entire creation when you go in sound sleep state. Right now, we are supposed to be in awake state. This is the false awake state. False awake state, right? Where we are supposed to be preserving the entire creation. This entire creation is before us and we are preserving it or we are sustaining it. Vishnu, you can call it. Whenever we go to sleep, whenever we become unconscious, whenever we lose consciousness of creation, what happens is that we suck in that creation. That means creation no longer exists for us during those period of sound sleep or deep sleep state, not the dream state. I'm talking about deep sleep state or sound sleep state where I am, but the consciousness that I am is not there. So there we become the dissolver or the destroyer of our own creation, which is the cosmos. So in other words, when we get up in the morning again, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time, the moment consciousness comes back to us, creation comes back to us. That means we are the creator of creation, we are the sustainer of creation, and we are the dissolver or destroyer of creation. It gets back into us. So in a sense, we are Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, isn't it? So here Baba beautifully says, that's exactly what Baba is trying to say. If you're okay, no.
Devour this cake.
Yeah. And you quip back and you devour this whole cake. What is the whole cake? The infinite, enormous creation. And you devour this whole cake when you are in deep sleep. When we are in deep sleep, we eat the whole cake. And I swallow time too. So he's joking, and I swallow time too. Because when we are in deep sleep state, time does not exist. When we are in the awake state, what we call as false awake state, time exists. Even when we are in dream state, time exists. Although time is different in the dream as well as in the awake state, that relationship I do not know what is the relation. But science has proved that you might dream for a very short time. But in short, actually you are dreaming for a very short time. But in that dream of say 7-10 minutes, you have got married and you have got children and you have done this and you have done that. But the entire dream was only for 10 minutes. Our time, 10 minutes. But in that you did so many things. So time is of a different dimension in the dream state and in the false awake state. So here he quips, and I swallow time too. I added, and we both laughed. But the irony is that when I get up, this cake becomes a hard rock, sorry, a hard round rock candy which I can neither break nor swallow. That means when I wake up in the morning, again I feel that the whole creation, in a sense, is something so huge. It's around my neck, and all the issues, all the problems, all the troubles, positive as well as negative, all come back to me when I wake up. But may I ask you one more question? And Baba says, why one? Ask as many as you wish. Yeah.
Just one. Tell me, where are you when I am in deep sleep? I play the part of the watchman who wakes you at the appointed time. There was a mischievous smile on your face. How nice it would be if you were not to wake me up at all. I cannot do that because you will accuse me of suppressing your desire to know the realities of time and space, you replied, winking at me. Well, I give up, I said. So you say, but your thoughts on these two unfathomable subjects are deeply rooted within your mind and heart. When will these thoughts be wiped out? I asked eagerly. Don't be impatient. There will be the moment out of time, so to speak, when this game in time and space will be over, and you shall abide in eternal wakefulness, which is timeless and spaceless. Overwhelmed by your assurances, I looked at you in amazement. Just then, I heard the ring of the doorbell, waking me from my dream. That day, after a long walk, I had felt a bit tired, so resting on the bed, I had dozed off. My friend had come at the appointed time. As I went to open the door, a new question popped up in my mind. How are time and space in the dream state related to my waking state? Anyway, meeting you even in a dream is matchless fun, a marvelous pleasantry.
All right. Here ends the chapter. I'll try to read again and maybe whatever explanations that are required. All right. Why one? Ask as many as you wish questions. Just one. Tell me, where are you when I am in deep sleep? And Baba says, I play the part of the watchman who wakes you at the appointed time. Now, that again reminds me when Baba uses the word, I play the part of a watchman. Baba had once said, I think it was Jal Kerawala, or was it Sam? I don't remember now. Anyway, Baba was in his darbar, and all the talks were going on. And then at that time, Baba says, I remember something, take down, it's very important. Please take down, it is very important. So he dictates that God is in everything. That's all. God is in everything. And then Baba goes about telling stories, talking, chatting, whatever that may be. And after a little while, again, Baba says, oh, I've got another sentence to write for you to write. Please take down. It is very important. And then Baba makes him write down, that God is in nothing. So God is in everything. God is in nothing. And then again, after a little while, things go about. That was Baba's style of functioning. He does that, even while dictating letters to his lovers, we are told that he would dictate to one lover something, and then it would be left as it is, and then he'll come back to that much later to be added, something to be added. That's how he would be dictating. Then again, after some time, Baba says, please take down, this is very important, very important. And then Baba says, if perchance something is left out between this everything and nothing, then God is in that also. So this is what came to my mind when we're talking about playing the part. So in at another time, Baba had talked about human weaknesses of the avatar, of the past avatar. I'm not going to get into that. Zoroaster, Rama, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, and Meher Baba. So when it came to Buddha, Baba said that the mistake, the human weakness or human mistake was that he said that nirvana, which is the real nothingness, which is fana, as we say, that nirvana is equivalent to realization, nothingness. And many of the Buddhists have this impression that nothingness means there is no God also. There is no God. Because there is nothingness, there is void, there is absolute vacuum, so to speak, real nothingness. And Baba said that was his mistake because there is a step beyond nirvana, and that is called nirvikal, which is the real goal of all life and not nirvana. Because after experiencing the absolute or total nothingness, you immediately experience the total everythingness, capital E and capital N. So then somebody had asked Baba, "Yeah, how is it that the Buddhist philosophies, they say that there is no God, there is no God in nirvana." So that is where Baba said that God plays the role or part of consciousness in nirvana. And then there is nirvikalpa. I hope I'm making myself clear. So here when Baba says that I play the part, that thought came to me. I play the part of a watchman, In other words, even in sound sleep state, it cannot be unless there is God in it. The whole idea of telling this whole thing is that God is in everything, God is in the nothing, and if there is anything which is by mistake left out between these two, then God is also in it. Now, here Baba says, I play the part of a watchman. Now, what is the watchman's job here? Baba says, I wake you up. That's what he says, that I wake you up at the appointed time. That who wakes us up at the appointed time? Baba says, I wake. But what aspect of Baba wakes us up? It is our karma. It is our samskaras. Every single morning when we get up, our samskaras are goading. They are shaking us and saying, spend me, utilize me, experience me. And that is the role which the samskaras play. And obviously, samskaras have Baba. Otherwise, the samskaras will be non-existent. And that is how they wake us up. And when we get up in the morning, we spend samskaras and at the same time accumulate samskaras. So coming back to the reading, I play the part of a watchman who wakes you at the appointed time. So what wakes us up, we all know, Baba has said this in the discourses, that if there were no samskaras, you won't wake up. There was a mischievous smile on your face. How nice it would be if you were not to wake me up at all. Because the author did not want to get up at all, so that you remain in eternal, in a sense, sound sleep state. But that sound sleep state has no meaning. It has absolutely no meaning because in that sound sleep state, the consciousness is lost. Try to be with me. What is God realization? Baba says God realization is nothing but the experience of the sound sleep state in full consciousness. Now, this is, in a sense, dichotomy, you can say. How can you be conscious of your unconsciousness? But that is what it is. And those who have achieved realization, they never sleep the sleep that we sleep. In other words, they never lose their consciousness, even in sound sleep state. Baba had said that if I were to have the sound sleep state which you have, the entire creation will be absorbed, like a Mahapralay. So yeah, so he never sleeps the sound sleep. They are always conscious. Even in sound sleep state, they are ever conscious. So we have had several experiences of Baba's Mandli, feeling that Baba has gone to sleep, and then all of a sudden Baba would. I'll narrate thereafter once we finish that. So again here, if, see, I again rewind myself in a sense, God in the beyond state, which is also called Paratpar Parbrahma state, which is also called Vara Ul Vara state or Gaheb Ul Gaheb state, where in God speaks, that is state one of God. God is, but consciousness is not. So it has no meaning. God is, I am, but there is no consciousness that I am. There is no fun. So when we go into the sound sleep state, we actually get into the beyond state of God. We experience the beyond state of God, where I am, but the consciousness that I am is not there. It has no matlab, it has no meaning, it has no fun. Because in that state, I am experiencing bliss. I am having bliss, but there is no conscious experience of bliss. In sound sleep state, howsoever we may have, let's say, arthritis, rheumatism, neck pain, whatever it is, mother-in-law pain, son, what is it? Daughter-in-law pain, toothache, whatever that we may be ailing with, we never experience that in the sound sleep state. But why? Because the consciousness is lost. But if we are able to get into the sound sleep state with full consciousness, then that is realization. So Baba says here, he is asking how nice it would be if you were not to wake up, not to wake me up at all. He feels it is nice, but what Baba says, I cannot do that. Why? Because you will accuse me of suppressing your desire to know the realities of time and space. That means if I were to give you so-called realization in that state, it would be of no use either to you or to creation or to me, because you would be just like that. So in other words, you might even accuse me that why did you do this to me? Because I was very desirous. I wanted to know the secret of time and space. Not just time and space, basically what Baba is trying, the secret of who am I? I wanted to realize myself, and by doing that, by not waking me up, you have suppressed my desire to know who am I. So Baba says, I cannot do that because you will accuse me of suppressing your desire to know the realities of time and space. You replied, winking at me. Baba may be winking, but it's a very profound statement that it serves no purpose. Well, I give up. This is Baba, I give up. Baba says, so you say, you are saying that you are giving up, but your thoughts on these two unfathomable subjects, they are unfathomable, time and space, are deeply rooted within your mind and heart. Within our mind and heart, there is this spark, this chip, you may say, which is constantly, directly or indirectly, consciously or unconsciously, prompting us to go to the goal, to find out the goal, to know the truth, to know the answer to the very first question, who am I? We may not, the search for God or the search for truth or the search for self at our level, I'm saying for myself, at my level is unconscious. But when we enter the spiritual planes, then the search continues and it is more conscious. Because those on the planes, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, they are conscious, they are aware where they are going and where they are supposed to go. There is an awareness over there. And so, whether we accept it or not, that chip, that flame, that fire, that inquiry is constantly burning within us to reach us to the goal. So Baba says, so you say, you may be saying, I'm not interested, I give up. But your thoughts on these two unfathomable subjects are deeply rooted at the time of creation only. The very first, when there was a starting of the mind gradually developing, they are deeply rooted in our mind and the heart. Sorry. Sorry. When will these thoughts be wiped out? So if they are deeply rooted in my mind and heart, when will these thoughts be wiped out? I asked eagerly. Don't be impatient. There will be the moment out of time, so to speak, when this game in time and space will be over and you shall abide in eternal wakefulness, which is timeless and spaceless. Eternal wakefulness means you are eternally awake, which means you have realized God, which means you will never ever come within the bounds of time and the bounds of space and within the so-called sound sleep state where you lose consciousness. It will never come. Once you are awakened for all time. That is why Baba says that God realization is a continuous process, is a continuous experience, a perennial experience without a break. So elsewhere, Baba had said that there are people who take drugs or who take all kinds of chemicals, let us say, and they feel that they are lifted, uplifted, they are high, and they also feel that I am God state, that I am so called I am God state. But Baba said that is all an illusion. It is all absolutely untruth. And the proof of the pudding, as we say, is in the eating, is that state does not last forever. The moment the effect of the chemical is over, you are dropped back to where you were. And therefore, Baba has differentiated that God realization is a constant, eternal wakefulness. You never come down from there. You are constantly aware and conscious of the I am God state. Again, Baba had said that if God can be achieved through the means of any chemicals, sorry, a pill, chemical, somewhere Baba had even mentioned chemical, then God is not worthy of being God. So coming back to the reading, there will be the moment out of time, so to speak, when this game in time, because we are all playing a game in time and space, will be over and you shall abide in eternal wakefulness, which is timeless and spaceless. Overwhelmed by your assurances, I looked at you in amazement. Just then, I heard the ring of a doorbell, waking me up from my dream. That means all that we just now read, all that we experienced just now, all that he experienced, the conversations with the Awakener, was all in his dream state. That day, after a long walk, earlier on he said that I took a very long walk today. So that day, after a long walk, I had felt a bit tired. So resting on the bed, I had dozed off. My friend had come at the appointed time. As I went to open the door, a new question popped up in my mind. So he got up from the dream, he goes to open the door, and now another question pops up, like how we just now said, how are time and space in the dream state related to my waking state? In other words, there are basically three states of consciousness, so-called awake state, dream state, and unconsciousness. Right? So now he's another question has popped up in his mind, that how are time and space in the dream state related to time and space in this awake state? But actually, this awake state is also a false awake state. When you finally awake in the real awake state, then there is no existence of time and space at all. Anyway, meeting you, even in a dream, is matchless fun, a marvelous pleasantry. So here we end this chapter. If there are any questions, please do ask. Yes, Dilshad, go ahead.
Jai Baba
Jai
Cyrus
Baba,
ji and
Jai Baba,
Soumya, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba,
Jai Baba to everybody.
Jai Baba.
Uh, it was very beautiful when you explained about the dream and the concept of time within the dream. So in a dream of half a minute or 1 minute, one may have the entire kind of generations there, which brings me to the question as to in other planes. We are talking about time and space as we perceive and as we fathom from a gross world point of view. So in subtle world, in the mental world, how is time and space perceived or exists? Number one, and number two, uh, also in the period between the two incarnations, very often there are ceremonies as well as our behavior and beliefs to do with people who have passed off. Now, for them, again, the concept of time would be very different, if I mistake not. So, if you can throw some light on that. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, first of all, honestly, I have not read any clarification from Baba in any of Baba books. I have not read, they may be there, where Baba is distinguishing between the illusory time of the gross world and the illusory time of the planes. So, in my limited understanding of things, perhaps the time aspect may not change. This is my understanding in the on the planes, because the planes are as much in illusion as the gross world is. So, in other words, there may not be any. This is my take. There may not be any change in that time aspect of it. In the dream, yes, it is. After death, yes, it is. Definitely, there is that. Now, if you are asking me about, I don't know about ceremonies and all that, I don't know if that was the question you asked, but Baba had said that by and large, 3 to 4 days, the soul is very much connected. Then from the third or the fourth day onwards, it starts its onward journey. And the prayers and the mantra and the chanting that we do here on the gross plane, it helps the soul to dissociate itself and move on into the other realm of its own existence. And if we are crying and weeping and wailing and all that, then it distracts the soul and also saddens the soul to move on. But in any case, it has to move on, so it will move on. Almost, Baba said somewhere 10 days, 12 days, 14 days. Beyond that, there is absolutely no connection with those departed souls to the gross world of creation. And therefore, in my understanding, any ceremonies after that, in order just to appease ourselves that we are doing something for the departed soul, it doesn't seem to make any sense, because Baba said they are not at all connected with it at all. So that is what I understand from Baba's statement. Another question that was brought up to me sometime earlier, somewhere in some other forum was, all right, Kilshad, does it answer your question?
Yes, Sairaji, thank you so much.
Okay.
My question about the reincarnation part is that, when we see it from the worldly years, how after how many years each
I'm
soul.
coming to that. I'm coming. That's what I'm coming. Somebody asked, as to how many days or weeks or years or whatever centuries would the soul remain in the astral world or the semi-subtle world before it takes reincarnation. Again, I have not read anything specific written by Baba on that, but my common sense says, in this sense, in this way, that when a child is born, can you predict how many days or hours or years he's going to? Approximately, you may say. So the child which is born may die after 1 day or may live 100 years. Now, what is it that makes this difference? In my understanding, is the load of samskaras which the child has brought at the time of birth in order to experience and expand. And once those samskaras which he has brought are totally, used up and experienced, he goes back to where he has come from. That is my understanding of the death. On a normal natural death happens. Baba says that in the discourses, when the samskaras that you have brought for experiencing in this life are all over, then you go back to where you came from. Extending the same logic to the afterlife, my understanding would be that depending upon the load of samskaras that you have gathered in this life, supposing you have gathered tremendous good deeds, and then you have got all positive sanskaras, so you will experience the state of heaven, which is nothing but a mental, a very what should I say, consolidated state, acute state of happiness and joy and thrills and whatever it is, which we call as the heaven state. And it will be for a very long time because I have accumulated a lot of good deeds. Conversely, if I have accumulated so-called negative deeds, I will suffer the pangs of hell, apparent hell, as a state of mind for that long. And that is the reason why Baba says that even good karmas bind. So what is required is the karmas that we are taking on the other side should be very minimal. And we can only do that if we remove the kartutva abhiman, as I call it, if we remove the karta, if we remove the thought that I am the doer, if I am the doer, I have done, I am doing, I am going to do. If that is removed, then to that extent, the load of karmas are not on us. Baba takes it upon himself, and therefore, the positive or the negative, the good as well as bad, are very minimal. And if they are minimal, then we go back and we come back very fast so as to again experience and finish off our karmas. The exception to this rule is if we are able to remember Baba at the time of breathing our last, then irrespective of the load of samskaras, both good or bad, Baba's promise is that you will come to me. You will come to me means you will experience infinite bliss eternally. You will have no more births and deaths. Irrespective of the load of karmas is what Baba has said and explained. Yet further explained that it does not mean that you will experience God realization. God realization is to be had in the physical body on earth. Now, what we talk about mukti or moksha or salvation is, it is also called najat mukti or ordinary mukti. Baba explains that in the discourses, is to be had, that will be had about 3 to 5 days after the body is dropped. In that case, you do not come back again and the whole chapter is over. We experience infinite bliss eternally. We do not get the experience of infinite knowledge and infinite power. The Trinity is there: infinite knowledge, power, and bliss. Three aspects of God realization, but we will only experience infinite bliss. And that also can be considered as the goal of life. Because again, in my understanding, even though a perfect master or a salik or a bazoob experiences infinite knowledge, infinite power, infinite bliss, when they drop their physical body and go back to God state B, that is 2B, then at that time, although they have infinite knowledge and infinite power, it has no use because they are totally cut off from creation, dissociated from creation, and therefore they also experience only infinite bliss. And when we talk about infinite, there are no grades of infinity. It's the same thing. And another important thing that we understand from Baba is all God realized souls never ever reincarnate. So if somebody is claiming to be an incarnation of a past perfect master, then either, according to Baba's literature, either he is delusioned, he is in a delusion, or he is just a hypocrite trying to get some mileage out of the name of a past perfect master. This is my understanding based on Baba's reading. Yes, Mayor, go. Dilshan, are you through with this? Is it
Yes,
clear?
thank you so much. Thank
Welcome.
you. I really
Yes,
appreciate
yes, Mayor, go ahead.
Cyrus uncle,
Bolo ji.
every time when I read on this Meher Baba, I think of what I should be reading, in the evenings.
Okay.
And many people like what I've been reading and everything. But sometimes when there's one person who reads, I don't, she's a foreign, I don't know her or anything. So she, like, she wants to, like, I don't know how to say, she doesn't know how to express her ways. So she goes on telling me, how do you express your ways? So I said, I don't do anything. I'm just reading. Baba's reading for me. I don't read it. And Baba is trying to tell
Good.
the thing.
Good.
So she goes on getting like jealous. How are you doing it? So I
Good.
just keep myself totally cool. I said, let Baba do whatever he has to do.
Good. Thank you. If somebody asked me this question, I would say I press the book before I reading. Therefore, I am able to express it better.
No, I don't this thing. I just read whatever I get.
But I'm saying if somebody were to ask me that.
But
Yeah,
then some
Aban.
people, I
Yeah,
just
okay, thank you, Babe. Aban, yes.
Cyrus, Jai Baba to you.
Jai Baba Dev, Jai Baba.
What I feel that Baba says that whosoever takes my name at the time of breathing his last to me, so that person gets mukti, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
So prayers will be of no use.
It is of use to enable you to remember him when the end approaches.
No. After death prayer.
Oh, you mean the four? Oh, of course they are. Sorry. My mistake. I'm sorry. I didn't get the question. Yeah. No, of course. You see, but how do we know whether
I know.
How do we know whether the person?
Suppose the prayers are going on, so will it reach us? I mean, that soul?
Yes. That is why Baba says that prayers are definitely helpful for the first few days because it helps the soul to dissociate itself from the gross world and progress to the what we call as
But when Baba takes you in his arms, I badut ayat de siddha prema kar chali jaye.
Correct, my dear.
Correct.
But how would we know whether the other person is in Baba's arms or somewhere else? You see. So I got your point. So whether you are destined for, let's say, mukti or not, if somebody is doing the prayer, it will only help you.
To that
That's all.
extent
To
of
that
only
extent.
4 days.
That's all.
It's just a flight of my imagination. What I'm saying is, suppose somebody has taken Baba's name and died at the time.
How do you know that he has taken Baba's name and died? That's what I'm
आजू बाजू होइए तो समझिए ना.
Okay, right, okay.
Then but of course we will do all the prayers that are there, but these prayers, will they reach that soul?
Yes, it will. Initially, for those 3-4 days, yes, it will. That's what Baba said. That's why it is helpful for the soul to dissociate itself. You see, now amongst the Baba community, I have seen many when they drop their physical body, whether you have taken that the person has taken Baba's name or not, we do not know. But what we do is we just do Meher Baba's prayers and just Avatar Meher Baba ki jai, and it's over. Many of the families I know, they have not even bothered to do the 4 days ceremony. So it's up to individuals to go ahead or not to go ahead. But there are many families who keep on doing it for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in the hope that it is.
Yeah, no, that is
I have no comments to give on that.
Yeah,
I will only comment on what Baba has said.
Each to his own.
Yeah, each to his.
Anyway, okay, I'll be making.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you, beloved Baba. Avatar Meher Baba. Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Thank you. Baba.
Thank you.
Thank you, Baba.
Jai.
Jai Meher Baba, Jai Meher Baba.
Jai.